Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. Later in our program, it is open enrollment season. Whether you're picking a new plan at work or through the state, we will have some advice on making the right choice. That is coming up. First tonight, the voters have spoken, but just what did they say? Joining us tonight, two newly elected county executives. Jan Gardner is a Democrat from Frederick County, and Steve Hsu is a Republican from Anne Arundel County. Thanks to both of you for being here, and congratulations on your victories.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Ms. Gardner, let me start with you, because not only are you're going to be the first female county executive in Frederick County, you're the first ever county executive in Frederick County. Tell us a little bit about why the county switched to that form of government.
In 2012, the county commissioners, seated county commissioners, created a charter writing committee and put it on the ballot, and it passed by a 2-to-1 margin. And one of the key objectives was to have more local authority, more ability to pass laws locally, and also to have a better seat at the table in Annapolis. It was viewed that a county executive would bring a single voice and a stronger voice than the county commissioner form of government provided.
Now, Frederick County, in terms of the governor's race, Larry Hogan won big time.
He did.
You won as a Democrat. What was the key to your race?
The key to my race was sticking to my message. My opponent had very high unfavorables. He was very unpopular in the county, and turning out my voters. It always comes down to turning out the voters. And
Mr. Hsu, Anne Arundel County, what was your message?
My message was that Anne Arundel County and Maryland as a whole have been going in a wrong direction for a long time. And our citizens in our county, and I think in most of our state, want lower taxes and less government, a more responsible government, improved public safety, and cleaner water. So I delivered that very simple message across every neighborhood in Anne Arundel County for almost 3 years, and happily the voters embraced that message.
So Hogan won big in Anne Arundel, and you won big in Anne Arundel. Talk about the nuts and bolts of this. So this is your first time in county. Were you in county government? You've been in the legislature.
Yes, I'm finishing my second term as a Maryland State delegate. This will be my first time in an executive branch office.
And the transition process for a county executive is a lot quicker, right? I mean, when are you sworn in?
It's less than 30 days from the time of the election to the swearing in. I'm sworn in on December 31st, as I believe Jan is as well.
I'm sworn in on December 1st.
December 1st. That's what I meant. December 1st. So it's less than 30 days from the election.
That's right.
All right. So, well, thanks for making time
very quickly
to be here. What's first on the agenda?
Well, after we get through the transition process, I'm now in the process of forming transition teams and installing the leadership for that effort. We'll go right into the budget, and I've committed to a 3% property tax cut on day one, and I intend to deliver it. And that is a down payment on a long-term effort to reduce the overall burden of taxes and fees in our county to create jobs and economic opportunity.
So from a budget standpoint, how do you do that on day one?
Our county is growing. My internal projections call for about $70 million of incremental revenue coming into the county as a result of economic growth, population growth, more real estate transactions. That extra revenue of $70 million gives us room to cut taxes while simultaneously maintaining critical county services. Our county expects high-quality services.
Ms. Gardner, in Frederick County, were the voters saying something different, maybe?
Yes, I think one of the big issues in my race was the fundamental issue of trust and honesty and ethics in government. There was an underlying concern that a lot of what had happened in recent years had happened behind closed doors, and that issue underlined everything else. There was also concern about privatization, which was really costing taxpayers more. There's concerns about growth and development. Land use is always a big issue in county races. There were a lot of controversial land use decisions in the county. And education had been funded at the bare minimum required by law, basically maintenance of effort for the last 4 years. So there was a strong education force out in the race.
What's the first thing you want to change?
Well, the first thing I want to change, well, I'm going to move slowly. We need to develop a governing consensus on how we're going to operate under our new form of government, and I think that's the first order of business. I do have to have a budget presentation in the middle of December, and I do have to put a legislative package together also in the middle of December. So I'm working on those now, but it's really to build a relationship with the council on how we're going to function. I think that's really number one.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question for two of Maryland's newly elected county leaders, you can give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. You could also tweet your questions. Our Twitter address is @MPTNews. Steve, what do you expect on the state level? You've been in the House of Delegates for 2 terms, you said.
Yes.
So you weren't there for the last time we had divided government. What do you think happens in January at the State House?
I expect things will be very different than during my 8 years in the General Assembly. In the House of Delegates, we had a very small minority of 43 members out of 141, so it was pretty much like Duke plays Annapolis Middle School in basketball every single day, and Duke never lets up.
Is that getting demoralizing after 8 years of that?
No, we all knew what we were getting into, and we all take very seriously, as members of the minority party, our responsibility to be the loyal opposition and to articulate different policy positions, even though we know we're going to lose. That's an important function in a democratic society.
So, where do you think the friction is going to come? I mean, when does the Hogan mandate run into the mandate that each legislator in Annapolis brings with them?
When Governor-elect Hogan submits his budget, that's when it will become very interesting. Larry Hogan made it very clear in his campaign that his priorities are fiscal in nature. He does not intend to get involved in anything outside of that. He considers all the social issues matters of settled law, and is going to focus on reducing taxes and fees in our state, as I am going to be doing in our county. But when that budget hits the table of the General Assembly, there will be lots of squeals, because a lot of people are used to getting everything they want, as much as they want, no matter how much money the state has to borrow, and no matter how many more taxes the state has to impose on people. Those days are over.
As a county executive, though, are you going to look at it from a different standpoint, like we need the transportation funding back?
Well, as a delegate, I've advocated strongly for restoration of the highway user money. That was a diversion by Governor O'Malley to fund mass transit projects and other priorities that he had. And it was, I think, a terrible mistake to defund the counties, because this may be true in Frederick County, but in Anne Arundel County, we only have enough money for road maintenance. We can't build any new roads at all because we have been completely defunded by the state. So my hope is that Governor Hogan will restore those monies.
Yeah. I'm curious what having been through tough campaigns, yours was tougher in the primary, you had a tough general election, what your perspective is on campaigning in general, maybe the Maryland governor's race specifically. Who did a good job? You told me before the show there's still negative ads running against you in Frederick County.
Yes, they haven't taken them off TV yet, so it's a real joy to continue to see negative ads about yourself days after the election.
Getting an early start on the next race?
Maybe. The negative campaigns in my race were just incredible, and I think we have seen low voter turnout in Maryland and certainly in Frederick County, in part because of the negative ads. People, I think, don't know what to believe, and I think it depresses the vote. And I think for the first time in our county, it has become so extreme that not only do the candidates have to heal from it, I think the community has to heal from it. There's still a lot of polarization and tension in the community, and I think as a county leader, one of the things I have to do is address that.
Any second thoughts? Well, obviously you won, but does that level of negativity, the mud bath that you take to run for office, does that dissuade good people from getting into this?
I think it can dissuade good people from getting into it. And not only is it hard on the candidates, and their families and their parents and their kids, I think it's very difficult on the entire community. And so I made a suggestion at the Rotary Club in Frederick the day after the election that people who contribute to campaigns should tell the candidate they contribute to that money is being given for them to get out their message, to say what they're going to do, and not to be used for a negative ad.
That's a really interesting idea. Like you contribute to a charity or a school, and you can designate the money to be used for something. Very interesting. Let's take a phone call. Looks like Graciela in Anne Arundel County. I apologize if I messed that up. You're on. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Hello.
This call is for for Mr. Hsu, and I'm interested in finding out how you want to approach helping the businesses grow in the Anne Arundel area. I know we can help with jobs and help increase the bottom line for taxes. Well, I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you feel about our economic and development for the county.
Thank you very much. And if I can, let me broaden that out a little bit with something that applies to both of your counties, is that you benefit to some degree from federal spending. And we know the feds are not cutting, but slowing down a little bit.
The business environment in Anne Arundel County has become very difficult in recent years, and that is one of the primary objectives of my administration, to change that and to make Anne Arundel County a place that is conducive to new business formation and therefore job creation. There's 2 or 3 things that we will do right at the start. One, as I mentioned, reduce taxes. Number 2, we're also going to be taking a comprehensive look at all of our fees. The business people in Anne Arundel County tell me that it's the fees, even more than the taxes, that are an impediment to new business formation in our county, especially what are called capital connection fees, the fees to hook up to our water system, to our sewer system. Those are very excessive. And finally, we need to reform county departments to make them more efficient and user-friendly. Right now, the permitting process in our county is very cumbersome and takes forever.
I think we've already addressed fees and streamlined permitting in our county. I think what we need to do is take advantage of our opportunities. The federal government has been a driver in Frederick County, as it has in much of Maryland, but there's a lot of research and innovation in our federal facilities and our universities, and I think we have to leverage that research and innovation to create jobs. And
We'll have to leave it there. Ms. Gardner, Mr. Hsu, congratulations. Hope the negative ads stop running soon.
So do I.
Thanks for coming in. Just ahead tonight, our experts will try to answer your health insurance questions. We'll be right back.
Tonight on MPT.
Hi, I'm Mark Wahlberg. Antiques Roadshow is soaking up the sun and searching for Florida's treasures on the $1 Million Sandbar, Miami Beach.
They were a dumpster dive.
At 99 cents, I couldn't lose.
Oh my goodness.
Really?
Really?
Really? Oh my gosh.
Next time from Miami Beach on Antiques Roadshow.
Tonight at 8 on MPT. Next time on Father Brown.
I can offer you something that other religions can never provide.
A cult leader persuades Susie to join him.
He's a great man. You're saying he's a charlatan.
And when a follower is found dead,
Suicide. We did hear her screaming for help.
Father Brown is worried about Susie.
We are deeply concerned about her safety. She prefers my faith to yours.
Father Brown. Tonight at 10 on MPT.
Tonight on MPT2.
On Masterpiece Contemporary.
I'm going to propose a deal. Whatever it is, it's not going to be good enough.
David Hare's follow-up to Page 8.
If you stay where you are, the CIA are going to be bringing you home in a cage.
Starring Bill Nighy, Helena Bonham Carter, Winona Ryder, and Christopher Walken.
This is Turks and Caicos. Nobody's who they claim to be.
Warwicker, Turks and Caicos.
Will you tell me your name?
It's Johnny Warwick.
On Masterpiece Contemporary.
Tonight at 8 on MPT2.
With us now in the studio are Dr. Peter Bielenson, the president and CEO of Evergreen Health Co-op, and Gene Ransom, the CEO of MedChi, the State Medical Association. Thanks to both of you for being here. This is open enrollment season, not just for people who might be on the newly improved state health insurance website, but also people in private companies that get a pack of folders and have to pick a company What should they be looking out for?
Well, we actually have 5 tips that we've released for folks to think about during this season. First of all, make sure your doctor's still covered. And it's really important to check and make sure they're on that actual list and in the network. We even suggest that you call the office and make sure they're actually taking it, particularly if your employer is changing plans for some reason. You want to make sure if you're taking a medication, it's covered. You want to look and see what kind of rules they have, things like prior authorization or step therapy, and it might be different from another plan, and you want to make sure you understand them. And maybe the most important thing to do is really look hard at those copays and deductibles. The premium alone is not what you're paying. You're also paying whatever that deductible or out-of-pocket expense is. And unfortunately, what we've seen in recent years in all plans is that that amount that the patient's responsible for has increased. There's been a shift to patient responsibility, which isn't good.
Yeah. One of the things you said was what's on your list was to read the fine print. I really don't want to read this fine print. Do you think anybody reads the fine print?
It's important to actually pay attention to what you're getting, though. I mean, this is one of the most important things you purchase, and hopefully you won't have to use it. But if you do have to use it, the amount of money that gets spent and the amount that you could be responsible for, it is the #1 cause of bankruptcy is healthcare debt. So it's a big deal, and you really should take the time to do it.
So Dr. Bielenson, not only are you a physician, former public health official, you now run a hybrid insurance company and provider.
Correct.
Give me your perspective on this.
Yeah, I agree with Gene. One of the biggest things we found last open enrollment on the exchange, which didn't work terribly well and will be working much better this year, but what we found last year is that people chose the premium, the sticker price, because that's all that really showed up. And they ended up with $5,000 or $6,000 or $10,000 or $12,000 of deductible, which means that I think one of the most important things we have to point out is the need for health insurance literacy in the country. Most people have no idea what health insurance terms are. So we may want to just talk about that, but
sure. Well, let's stop there for a second. So you had people who sign up for these, like the bronze plan,
right?
And were surprised to find out that, as you said, there was a big deductible, meaning that until you'd racked up $5,000 in health bills, you got nothing.
Correct.
No
As
benefit.
An individual.
Maybe you got the negotiated rates? Maybe.
Right.
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
You maybe got that, but you had and double it for a couple. So $5,000, $6,000 for an individual, plus your premiums every month. And that was leading to the fact that at least for some carriers, some insurance companies who got a lot of the load off the initial exchange, a sizable percentage of people had dropped their coverage by 2/3 of the way through the year because they simply couldn't afford it and weren't getting anything. So 3 major things to remember, if you will. One is a deductible. That's how much you have to pay before any of your insurance kicks in. Another is co-insurance, which is a percentage after you paid your deductible. So after you've spent $5,000 or a $2,000 deductible, there's a certain percentage of the total cost that you still have to pay. So that can still be
80,
expensive.
20, right.
Right. And the most efficient thing and the most cost-effective thing is a copay, where, for example, you go to your primary care doc or a specialist and you pay $25 for a visit or $30 for a visit.
And these issues are not just in the exchange, it's also
Correct.
in the private market plans. We're seeing in those private plans and in the ERISA plans that the deductibles have raised as well. And while the average deductible, as you pointed out for the bronze plans, is $6,000, we're seeing large deductible plans, and employers are being forced to pick those because they can't afford health care affordability is causing the problems.
And if you do that, so as an employer or with the government plan, you can say somebody has health coverage. We offer our employees health coverage, but it's worthless unless something really bad happens to you.
Right, and you got it. In order to have affordable coverage, you have to be offered a coverage that costs no more than 9.2%. Don't ask me why 9.2%, but 9.2% of your income. And Gene's point again is well taken. People have to really look carefully at this insurance. It is not your father or mother's old insurance where they worked for Beth Steel, 25, 30 years ago and had really good benefits and zero copays and $0 share of the price. People are covering much more of the premium, even in employed plans, and much more of other costs.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about how to pick the right health insurance plan, give us a call. We'll have a number up on the screen. So you launched Evergreen, this beautiful new ship, into some rough seas a year ago. How are things going?
Much better. We had what I think I was maybe last on at the end of the enrollment period last year in March, where we had a rousing 450 members.
That's what
total.
That's what you would game plan for,
from the
I'm sure.
exchange.
Right.
Yeah, and we were based on the exchange because of the Affordable Care Act had enabled us. We're now at about 8,000. We've had a 2,000% increase, or whatever that is, and are rapidly moving up because we sell to small groups, and we've been very productive and very competitive in the small group market. We're hopeful, and having gone on the exchange, which just opened modestly, soft opened, if you will, on yesterday, it's a much better shopping experience. I would point out to people that they cannot enroll for at least 7 to 10 more days. Right. So don't get frustrated if you go on, shop, find a good plan, hopefully an evergreen plan, but whatever, and then you can't enroll because there's not hard enrollment until it's November 19th.
So you're selling a product that minimizes some of the confusion.
Right. We are very much focused on copays and smaller deductibles.
And those, you can go on though and look and price things on there right now. And the other thing you can do,
which you couldn't a year ago, by the way, but
which was a good idea. They should have done that last time. In retrospect, on November 19th, you'll be able to start purchasing through the exchange. The other thing you can do though is you can reach out. There are navigator entities that can help you, or you can reach out to a private insurance broker and have them help you. Either is fine. In this region, HCAM is the navigator for this area, and if you call them, or you can call MedChi, and we can get you in the right direction and help you out and answer some questions. But you should do the research and get someone to help you.
Let's take a phone call. This is Brian in Baltimore County. Brian, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Thank you for taking my call.
You bet.
My name is Brian. I'm a former lieutenant with the Baltimore Police Department. I pay about $12,000 a year now as my premium for my medical insurance for husband and wife coverage, and wanted to know if there is a possible option to go into the private sector or to private insurance to try to save some money, because it is significant. It's cost prohibitive at this point.
You're self-employed now?
I am self-employed now, yes.
Okay. All right, thanks.
It depends on your income. If your income is such, probably 80,000 or 90, a family of two, 80,000, 70,000 or less, you can go on the exchange, the Maryland Exchange, and get potentially subsidized coverage to make it more affordable. But even still, you can go at any insurance carrier's website, including ours. You have a quoting tool on our evergreenmd.org website where you can get quotes, and I would be shocked if you can't get much better pricing.
What's happening with rates? Your rates from 2014 to 2015, your competition's rates year to year.
Well, I was on last year, and I think complained a little bit about the big guy, the Blues in the state, grossly underpricing the market. They got 94.5% of the share of those relatively small number that went on the market.
History on that. I mean, they set rates, and then the state insurance commissioner said you can't charge that much. And
this was last year. They had very low rates.
I think the same thing happened.
And then this year, they asked for 30% increase and were granted 10 to 15%. Because they took a bath. We, on the other hand, were very fiscally prudent in our pricing and ended up with a 10% decrease. So we're much more competitive on the individual market this year than we were last year.
And just back to Brian's question, I would say he should definitely take the time to go on the exchange website and search it and look at the options through that. And the other thing I would suggest that he do is call a private broker and talk to them. I do think that the private insurance brokers can be a big asset and a big help in you kind of navigating through this. And they can at least tell you what your options are and have some expertise.
Let's take another call. This is going to be Gladys in Howard County, and here she is. Gladys, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hi. I am in Medicare, and I pay all these Medicare things. And I added what they call co-insurance to Medicare. And my co-insurance and their own work follow Medicare. So I've been thinking, now that I'm growing older, that perhaps one of these days I may hit some problem that Medicare doesn't cover, and therefore my co-insurance follow Medicare. So
Gladys, I'm short on time. Let me get you an answer there. Thank you very much.
Can I get something better than what I have now?
Okay, I'm not sure we can give you a full answer, but thank you.
Medicare covers a huge number of things. It's actually one of the best types of health insurance. Medigap, which I think she was talking about, the gap coverage, also should cover most things. I would imagine that she should be as well covered as possible by Medicare.
And I would also suggest if she wants to call MedChi at 1-800-492 1056, we can talk to her and look into more detail on her question, because I couldn't tell if she was possibly a dual eligible as well. So there might be some technical things there, and we'd be more than willing to help her with it.
I'm going to give you a tough question for like the 20 seconds I have, which is how's all this going from the perspective of the providers?
For the physicians, I mean, so far the physicians, frankly, weren't impacted that much because so few people went through the private exchange last time with all the problems that occurred.
A lot more Medicaid.
Right, and the Medicaid has been wonderful for physicians because in Maryland they did a fee increase for them and more doctors have been taking it. In Maryland we increased payment for physicians for all specialties for evaluation and management codes, so that's been a success story, and my doctors are seeing more Medicaid patients and Medicaid patients are getting better care.
Out of time. Gene Ransom and Peter Bielenson of Evergreen Health.
Thank you for having
Thanks
us.
for coming by.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us for Direct Connection. We're back Thursday with Your Money and Business. Have a good night.
Your health segments are a co-production of Maryland Public Television and the University of Maryland Medical System.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.